Today, let's begin with round 18. The title of today's lesson is The Creation and Evolution of the Humanity. The humanity evolved from the primate man, 원인, primate man, ape man, it means ape man, through the primitive man, 원인, primitive man, 원인 in Korean, the old man, 구인, and finally to the new man, 신인. Yeah? The fossil which has the characteristic of both a human being and the anthropoid has not been found yet. Lots of fossils of the primate man were found in Africa, and this primate man is classified into the Australopetecus genus and the homo genus. In the old times, a lot of aliens visited the earth, and they taught the residents of the earth. The theory concerning the creation of the omnipotent as well as omniscient creative God of the universe, and the theory of the coincidence, namely the coincidence of Darwin's evolution and the creation God exist simultaneously. Well, let's consider the present situation of the development of the anthropology. The humanity has not been unchangeable from the past to the present time, but has changed and evolved a lot for an unimaginable time step by step. In 1856, some queer bones of human being was discovered at the Neanderthal Valley near the suburbs of Düsseldorf of Germany. The bones looked like those of monkeys. At that time, most of the people thought that human beings had not changed at all from the beginning of human history, but those bones caused a lasting fuse of the hot debates. Some of the paleoanthropologists claimed that those bones were those of the human being who lived a long time ago, but many scholars and experts of pathology did not consent to this maintenance. As a matter of fact, those bones were those of Neanderthal men who lived in a step of the evolution of the human beings. Since then, the thought that all of the living creatures continue evolving became a common idea, and lots of the fossils of humanity were discovered in a lot of places, and the above-mentioned idea was ascertained as a matter of fact. Through what causes has the humanity evolved? The question can be solved through the discovery, investigation, and analysis of the fossils of the human beings. The ancestors of humankind who appeared through the fossil investigation are called the fossil ancestors. And there are several sorts of them, like 원인, primate man. Here, 원 means monkey, and 원인, primitive man, and 구인, old man, and 신인, new man, from the oldest times to the modern times. Usually, anthropologists have these four steps of the human development, and the fossils of the intermediate step of the primate and human beings have not been discovered yet. When we see the procedure of the human evolution as a set of chain, this sort of middle-placed step is called the missing link. When the paleoanthropologists investigated the fossils of the primitive man, they reached the conclusion that the evolution process of the primates to human beings was caused by the change of the walking method rather than the volume of the brain. Therefore, the species of humanity began at a time when the living creature that could walk with two legs formulated this walking method for their everyday and usual activity. The development of the anthropology concerning the evolution of the humankind was quite alarming during the last 20th century, and there are lots of paleoanthropologists who showed the remarkable achievements in revealing the relationship between the human beings and the bones of the old primitive man. If I mention those representative researchers, I can say about Mary Leakey for the first time. She found a human fossil called Australopithecus boisei in Africa in 1959. And this fossil was 1.8 million years old. In 1924, Raymond Dart found a child's skeleton, which is a low head and protruded jaw called Australopithecus africanus, and the nickname of it is Town Child. The child lived 2 or 3 million years ago. In 1938, Robert Broom found a skeleton called Australopithecus robustus, which lived 1.5 or 2.0 million years ago. In 1893, De Boer of Netherlands went to Java, Indonesia, and found the Java man who was almost 500,000 years old. The fossil of Peking man was found in Juguzhom near Peking, and it is nearly 500,000 years old too. Well, let's look at the following picture. This is an imaginary picture in which 3 primitive persons walk together around a volcano. The three footprints are remained in the district of Laetolia in Tanzania. It is in the book of Newton, April 2010, page 128. The next picture is a picture which shows the historical way of evolution from the oldest 7 million years old Tumai fossil to the Cro-Magnon man who lived nearly from 50 to 100,000 years ago, September 22nd, 1996, 중앙일보, page 20. And the next picture, it is the picture of the ancient man's teeth, which proved to be 2.04 million years old. It was discovered near the river Yangjiang of China. River Yangjiang, Yangtze River. 하종대 correspondent to Beijing, 동아일보. Recently, China found a primitive man's fossil that is nearly 2.04 million years old, and scientists debate vehemently concerning the beginning of the human beings. A fossil of the primitive man was found around Jianggang River, Yangtze River in China, and the era measurement with the radioactivity method revealed its age of 2.04 billion years. They say that if this 2.04 million years old measurement were consented publicly, it would be an astonishing discovery to revert the present theory that the origin of the human beings began in Africa and the offsprings or the descendants spread in all of the districts of the world. The species which looks similar to the Neo-man or New Man means the humankind who lives now on the earth, is Neanderthal man who lived around 50 to 100,000 years ago in Europe, and Cro-Magnon man who lived about 40 to 50,000 years ago. However, the person who has achieved a brilliant result may be Donald C. Johanson of America, and he found Australopithecus afarensis in the Hadar Valley of Ethiopia. The shape of this fossil alarmed the researchers, for it contained the skeleton as well as the bones of legs, arms, and all of the ribs, and the gender of it proved to be a woman. The skeleton was as big as a softball, even though it grew fully, and she lived nearly 3.5 million years ago. And the researchers found out that she suffered from the disease of arthritis, and she was about 1 meter tall. The fossil, which was nicknamed Lucy, made paleoanthropologists draw the phylogenetic tree differently from the former ones, and though she walked with two legs, she looked more like primates than the human being. Recently, as I mentioned before, the child of Lucy was discovered, and Lucy does not feel lonely now. I've talked about the brilliant achievement of the excellent paleoanthropologists up till now. In the paleoanthropology, the human beings mean the primates who walk with two legs, and the human being family has two genuses. One is the Australopetecus genus, who lived in the earlier times, and the other is the Homo genus, who lived in later times. All of these primates are called hominid. Different from the evolution of the natives, there were other species which came from the extraterrestrial places, and they were the aliens. I will not mention the problem as to whether the aliens and UFOs exist or not, because I talked about it previously. But I think it is good to talk about when the aliens came to the earth and how they lived here on the earth. According to the explanation of the aliens, alien woman Semyaje, whom Billy Meyer of Switzerland met, the aliens' ancestors, Lyra aliens, came to the earth nearly 20 million years ago. It is written in the book 플레이아데스의 사명, Pleiadian mission, page 85 to 126. She said that when they came here, they found the barbarous primitives. If this utterance is true, the present 7 million-year-old ancestor of the human beings should be changed into the ancestors of 20 million years old, and therefore the paleoanthropologists have another homework to solve now. Well, let's look at the following picture. The man on the left-hand side is Robert Broom, and the other man is Raymond Dart. Anthropology has been developed brilliantly with the study of these researchers. It is in the book 최초 인간 루시, the first human being on Lucy, this book, page 69. Well, anyway, she said that her ancestors, that is, the Lyra aliens, stayed on the earth for a short time, and her ancestors' real residence on the earth began about 380,000 years ago. There appeared lots of leaders and various residential process, and on the Lemurian continent there continued a brilliant civilization, and on the Atlantis continent there bloomed another gorgeous civilization. Lemuria was on the Pacific Ocean of today, and Atlantis was on the Atlantic Ocean, and their civilization was the ultra-scientific UFO technology one. However, a group of power-happy or power-oriented aliens of the Atlantis Empire wanted to rule the Lemurian Empire, and there broke out a thermonuclear war between the two countries. Well, as we know well, the two countries sank into the deep sea. After the war, the residence of the extraterrestrial aliens on the earth stopped for some time, but they began to reside on the earth again until the appearance of Jesus Christ. On the other hand, when we read the book, Telos Volume 1, Messages for the Enlightenment of the Humanity in Transformation, this book, 신비의 지저문명 텔로스, this book, page 313, those Lemurian people had lived on the earth for several million years with brilliant civilization. According to an American channeler, Virginia Essen, Jesus Christ is alive now and is one of the spiritual hierarchy. That is the great white brotherhood, members of the earth. This great white brotherhood is the spiritual group composed of the masters of the earth and universe with light existences who have reached the high enlightenment, and their purpose is to help not only the humanity of the earth but all of the living creatures of the universe. According to the book 초인생활, Life and Teachings of the Masters, this book, 초인생활, Jesus Christ came in contact with this holy group of light, and before he spread his teachings in Israel, he was one of the members of his light group, and he was undergone a series of disciplining his mind and body of this group. This organization has 12 lower branches all over the world, and lower and lower, there is a sort of pyramid-shaped groups. And all in all, it is said that there are 216 groups in the world. The featured masters in this organization are Biamus, Kutuhumi, Melchizedek, El Moria, Helios, 성모 Maria, Mother Mary, 성모 Maria, and Maitreya, 미륵보살 Maitreya, Dualcar, Hilarion, 공자, Confucius 공자님, Lady Nada, 마 조안, 성 저메인, 세인트 저메인, 석가모니, 사키야모니 부다, 사난다, Jesus Christ, Sananda is Jesus Christ, etc. Well, their main activities which are done in the back screen of the world is enlightening the human beings for love and peace. Different from the Udaya syndicate rule and control of the people of the world in the back screen, the opposite light power does lots of things for the paradise of the world. Well, let's look at the following picture. This person is Louis Leakey, and this person is in the book 최초 인간 루시, this book, 최초 인간 루시, the first human being Lucy, page 105. And the next persons are Johansen and White, the same book, 355. And the next person is Richard Leakey. Richard Leakey is the son of Louis Leakey. He is in the book 인류의 기원, The Origin of the Humankind, at the back of the cover. This book, 인류의 기원. Here, Sakyamuni Buddha is not mentioned, but in other places of other books, Buddha is said to be the planet logos of the earth, and so I insert him here. The planet logos is the highest position of the spiritual hierarchy, and he represents our whole earth. It is said that Sanat Kumara was the planet logos, but as he returned to Venus, his place was inherited to Buddha. Not only the Pleiadians I mentioned earlier, but the Aryans from the Big Dipper, Sirius, Vega, Arcturus, etc. came to the earth or have had close relationship with the residents of the earth. It is said that some of the Aryans were concerned with the manipulation of the DNA of the humanity of the earth, or some of them created the human beings at the scientific experiment room, as we can see in the book of the Pleiadian mission, Pleiades 사명, this book. When we consider all of these facts, we can conclude that some of the primates have evolved into the human beings for several millions or tens of millions of years. And contrary to this, various tribes of the Aryans came to the earth and fixed themselves there. And in the course of their life, some of them have had the sexual relationship with the residents of the earth, and as a result, their DNAs were inherited to the people of the earth. Therefore, we can say that the Earth has the history of the coexistence of its natives and aliens from other stars. And we can even say that the coincidence and creation have been coexisted together. Here, the time has come when we have to tell the last conclusion concerning the theory of evolution or the creation. As I said before, all living creatures of the earth have the original ancestors from the fish in the sea, and the fin of the fish evolved into the legs, which enable the fish to go up to the land. And so the amphibia, which could live both in the sea and on the land, came into being. And this amphibia evolved into the dinosaurs and general animals. We can read this article in the recently published science book, The Theory of Darwin Evolution, 다윈 진화론, published from I. Newton. This 다윈 진화론. Furthermore, this amphibia had evolved to the dinosaurs and the general animals, and among the dinosaurs, those that lived on the trees changed into the birds. The fossils of the ancestor bird is said to verify this fact. Like this, the living creatures began to exist from tens of millions of years or hundreds of millions of years ago, and they have evolved again and again to become the present creatures. When we think of our human beings after studying various fossils which were discovered in Africa, we can suppose that there might be the common primate between the human beings and the present primates like chimpanzee, orangutan, or so forth, and so forth. As I mentioned before, it could be supposed that the primate with the tail, which was discovered in Germany, might be the mutual ancestor of the human being and the chimpanzee, and that primate is supposed to have lived nearly 47 million years ago. I mentioned already that there remains the problem that the fossil of the missing link containing the two elements of the human being and the monkey, which lived at the time when the monkey was changed into the human being, firstly, has not been found yet. By the way, recently, according to the book 한민족의 비밀과 사명, The Secret and Mission of the Korean People, this book, the God of the universe was changed into a human being in the first dimensional astral space and told Mr. Kim Moo-gun a surprising fact. In other words, God said that he was not the general God, but the God who presides over the universe, special God, and he made a star. In this case, the star is a planet. He made a planet in front of Mr. Kim in the astral space and made Mr. Kim watch the star here and there. Then he destroyed the star and made it disappear. And accordingly, he told Mr. Kim that he could make several thousand or several hundreds of million persons who looked like him. Well, let's look at the following picture. The person at the left-hand side is J.C. Float, who found the Neanderthal man. And the other person is Eugene Dubois, who found the Java man. They are in the book 최초 인간 루시, this book, the first human being Lucy, and page 68, and he told Mr. Kim that he could know the mind of all the people in the universe simultaneously. The God whom I say here means the God of the universe, and we generally listen to it, that is mentioned as the absolute spirit, 우주 절대정신, absolute spirit, logos, 이기, 법신불, 대일열애, 변호자나불, or 성령, the Holy Spirit. It exists in all the species of the universe, and it means the main God of the universe. Judging from the capability of the God I mentioned above, we can say that it or he has the ability of creating all the living creatures of the universe. Therefore, though we say that all the creatures of the earth started to exist from fish in the sea accidentally, these accidents can be contained in the function of the creation of the God of the universe when we consider it in the wide sight. Well, by the way, if we consider the first birth or existence of the human being as one part of all the creatures of the earth which started from the fish, the human being departed from the species of the primate, and this thought is scientific and rational. At any rate, if I say the conclusion, I can say that the creatures of the earth began or existed with the coincidence and creation simultaneously. Quite alarming, isn't it? Recently, Stephen Hawking, world-famous physicist, made public an announcement concerning the creation of the universe and other creatures. Stephen Hawking has been dead now. In the past, he said that in the course of the living creatures of the universe, the will of God was all in them. But recently he said that all of the creatures of the universe were made without regard to the will of God. And we can understand his position in light of what I said before in the procedure of the creation of the living creatures of the earth. That is, when some of the conditions are prepared for the appearance of the living creatures, there appear lots of living creatures quite in the natural way. However, even when we say the appearance of the living creatures by accidents, as we have considered so far, the God of the universe ponders over all the procedure of this creation for a long time.